and welcome. Today's tutorial is going to use the light node and light occluders to give the impression of being able to see in the dark. So at the end of this tutorial, this is the project you'll have, and I'll demonstrate it now. So as you can see, these are little posts I've made, and this is like a little house that you could go into. This could be like a top-down zombie game sort of thing. So without further ado, let's get into it. So I'm going to close this down. I'm going to start this a new project, and you'll notice I've got a sprites folder, and this project will be up on GitHub like all the previous, so if you don't want to worry about making your own sprites, just find it on the link in the description. So we've got the grass, we've got the man, we've got the actual light source, we've got a wall. So let's get into it. So we're going to use WASD to control the player, so we're going to put that in now. So I want you to go to your project, input, and then I'm just going to say WASD. There we go. Let's make a new node. We'll call this main. Let's save that. And let's make a new folder and just keep everything together. So we just call this scenes. We'll put in the scenes there. And now what we're going to do is I want to put the floor texture down. So what we're going to do is make a new node, and we'll just say node 2D. Call this floors, and I'm just going to drag some grass in. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to duplicate it. So I'm going to press Control D. Oops. Make sure that's selected. Move this across. Control D again. Control D again. Control D again. I mean, it doesn't really matter about this. I just for demonstration purposes. Now, a really important thing we need to put in is a canvas object. Without that, we won't get like a pitch black effect. So what I want you to do is go to Add Child on your main. I'm going to go Canvas, Modulate, and you'll see it's white. I want to change this to black. Now, what we're going to do is we're just going to hide it for now, because if we won't be able to see the object else if we don't unhide it. So now what I want to do is I want to go to make the player. So we're going to go and make a new object on the main. Add a child node again. Node 2D. Let's call this player. And on the player, I want to drag in the man sprite. Go back to the man sprite. Go to the text transform. Just make sure it's at 0, 0. In fact, let's make. If you right click on the player, you can make save as branch as scene, which we want to do. We'll put that in our scenes folder. And then let's go and click on this open editor, and then let's edit it here so it makes more sense. Well, another thing I'm going to do is I am going to put a light source on this player, because this is where the light will come from. Light 2D, and then you'll see that we need an actual light source in the texture, so we want to find a texture of the shape of light must be put on. There it is, texture. Couldn't find it then for a second. So we're going to drag in our light source into here. And you'll probably notice that it's in the wrong position. So what we want to do is we want to move it across to about here. Also, when the play, you'll see that the player's origin point is right here. So when we rotate it, or rotate on this point, we don't want that. So what I want you to do is I want you to click on your man, go to your offset, and on the X you can just drag it until what you think is about center for you. About there will do. Great. So let me just make sure that's all everything done. Another thing we need to do as well is put a camera node on there, and we want to make sure that this is a current camera. So make sure that this is on. So now, let's save this. Let's go to the main, and you'll see it kind of doesn't look right, so let me just move this a little bit forward. In fact, maybe I could do it in here. Let's make it a bit bigger. Yeah, about that. That looks about right. I mean, this isn't really vital. It'll change from project to project, so whatever works for you, just mess around with it. So I'm going to move. So now you can see when we turn the canvas modulate on. Now the only thing in the light sources will be visible. Anything outside the light sources you won't be able to see. So to demonstrate that, I'll just put in, let's make a new object. So let's go node 2D again, call this wall. I'm going to drag in this, oh yeah, like that. Same again, go to your transform, make sure that's at 0, 0. In fact, let's make this another save branch as scene, we'll call it wall. And what we want to do is open that. And now we're going to add a light occluder. So now the wall will actually cast shadows with this light occluder. So light, and pick light occluder 2D. Now you'll notice there's a warning here saying, hey, there's no polygon, so no shadow will be casted. So click over here, new occluder polygon 2D, and then where you want it. In fact, let's turn on this, and then go here. We want to have pixel snap, just because it'll be off else, for me anyway. I just want to do it as quick as I can, so let's go back to it. And you'll see now it's snapping to where we want it. Now I want to save that. Now if I go to main, let's get that wall and see. Oh, another thing I forgot to do, which is quite vital, is go back to your player, go to your light 2D, and then go to your shadow. Make sure that's on, enabled. Without that, obviously, it's not going to cast shadows because it doesn't know to. If you want to have like more smoother shadows, you could use this setting, smooth it out. But be warned, it will be more resource intensive. I don't know how much more resource intensive. If you want to experiment with that and get back to me, that's great. But until now, let's just get back on with it. So now you should see it's casting light. In fact, why is it doing that? So it looks like the light source is in here. That's where it's being cast from, and we want it to be cast from here. So to get around that, we want to go to the light source, and you'll see the this cross here. Now if we go to the player, we press V. Anywhere we press V, that's where the light source is coming out of. So make sure your light source 2D is enabled, and then click it like so. Now save that. Go back to the main, and oh god, let's drag this back where it should be. And then what I want to do is I want to click the player, and I want to select this. Make sure object set child is not selectable, because anytime I select it, it would have selected the light. Now it'll just select the whole object, so I can move it around. So let's get this. As you can see, light's being cast, and only when we go into it, it'll stop. So now if I turn the modulate thing on here, you can see. So let's make the player move around and the light follow where the mouse cursor is. So what I want to do is I want to go to the player, I want to add in a new script on the player. We'll just put this in its own folder. Call it scripts and then player. Okay, let's create it. I'm going to remove this stuff. We'll just put in a var walk speed equals 3. What I want to do is enable this. I'm going to say handle movement, and we'll do the function handle movement down here. I mean, you could just put it in the actual process itself, but it's really nice to break it up so it's more readable. It's good habit to get into. So we're going to do something that we've done like quite a few times on this channel. So to avoid doing that, I'm just going to copy and paste some code and change that verb up here to so that it matches here. And I'll go through what this code does. So basically, it is an action is being pressed. So if A is pressing down, and we know to minus the position of its x, which is along the horizontal axis, and then we're going to minus it, so we're going to go to the left. And pretty much it's just, yeah, if WASD controls. Now I will code the rest of this so we can explain what's going to go on. Is that we're going to use the look at function, which is really smart. I only found out about this today. So look at will basically it will get the object that you're currently using, and then when you pass in a vector, it will position the rotation so it's looking at a different position. So if we say, hey, look at get global mouse position, we're always going to be looking at the mouse. So let's do that. So look at get global mouse position. Let's save that. Let's make sure it's working. So we're going to press play. I'm going to select the main, open that. As you see, it's following, and let's move around. And there you go. So you might notice that you can't actually see the graphic which is underneath this, which is really annoying, and I don't really know a way around it. One thing you could do is that you could always show it, but the problem with that is that when you go away, you'd still see the graphic. I'll show you what I mean, but if anyone knows a way of how I could use a light occluder and not cast shadows on itself, let me know. I've looked around all the forums, can't seem to find any tutorials on it, so let me show you what we can do as an alternative. Is we could go to the wall, and we could go to its material. Is it? Yeah, new canvas item. Click that. We'll go to add, and let me just save that. Go back to the main, and let's just move this wall out of the way. And as you can see the wall at all times, but you can't see what's behind it. So maybe you'll prefer that way of doing it. I don't know, but I'll use two objects in the GitHub version, one where you can see it without the light on it and one where you can't. Obviously for your enemies you don't want to ever see them unless the light's on them, so obviously don't put a canvas item on them. So I'm going to build like a little small scene to cap off the tutorial, just to give you a demonstration of what you could do with it. In fact, let's make this light a little bit bigger so we can see more of the scene. In fact, let me just do this. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the wall, I'm going to duplicate this a few times, I'm going to go onto here, actually no I'm not, I'm going to move this around, move it again, move it again, move it again, move it again. So we've got 4 walls here, so what I'm going to do is click on here, which is your scale mode. I'm just going to make a little, oops, I was going to make it like a little house. Wow, I'm not used to having to do this. Okay, so that's as an ugly looking house, but you get the picture. Let's just put like a little pillar in the middle, and let's play it. And as you can see, you've got like a little house you can see. Now, I don't like that personally. I would prefer to do it this way. Click the light, just remove it, and then play. And as you see, you can't see the house, but you also now can't see the walls. It's a little bit irritating, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to expand on this a little bit, only one more tutorial, and I'm going to show you how to do like a night-day cycle, and to preview that you can kind of just use the modulate to, see what I mean? So that's great and all, but what I'm going to do is use like a nice fade effect, so I want it to go to like an orange, purple, then black. So that'll be for next tutorial, and I hope to see you then. Take care. Bye bye.